guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is actually me from the middle of this video because I filmed the first half of this video and then I realized there was no sound because my microphone wasn't on. And I don't like refilming first impressions, so I'm going to keep that so you can see me applying it, but I have to do the talking part all over again. So hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see by the title, I am talking about new Anastasia Beverly Hills products. If you guys want to know more, let's go. So I don't know if you guys remember, but it was either the December or January version of the Let's Talk New Makeup videos that I do once a month. I mentioned that Anastasia Beverly Hills was coming out with a new foundation, but I had already seen people talking about it and like not in a good way because it didn't have the best shade range. So Friday, I was just invited to a masterclass with Anastasia Beverly Hills and King Molly Magic, where the focus was the new foundation. I have some things to say about my experience, so let's get into it. So King Molly Magic is a makeup artist I have seen on social media in the beauty world for years. She has worked with Anastasia Beverly Hills for years. She is an amazing artist, so I was excited when I saw that she was the one who would be doing the masterclass. This is the model that she did it on, keep that in mind. Learned a lot of good, and that's why I'm just irritated that the first half had no sound because I was telling you guys about the tips while I was doing my makeup. Y'all know I haven't been liking how my makeup's been coming out lately anyway, so I will tell you guys those tips again the next time that I do my makeup. But learned a lot of good tips listening to the class, and I was paying attention while she was using the new foundation, and I looked at the model and I was like, we're probably like the same skin tone, and she used the shade 7 on the model. So watched her do the model's face. Of course, she looks gorgeous by the end of the class. And then after the class, they had the whole foundation range lined up in the back where you can go get shade match, you could ask questions, stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is a class in Atlanta. So you know a majority of the people in the room. So we are looking at the shades and we get towards the end of the range, and now when they were called out about the shade range back in like December, January, whatnot, blah, 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 I believe they had like kind of paused the push of this foundation because they went back to create more shades. So like I said, the model, and you see the model's skin tone, they used the shade 7 on her. So that means that there are 7.5, 8, and 9. There are 3 shades after 7 left in this shade range. I was there with an influencer who matched to the shade 9. So she was the deepest shade, and you know, she is a deeper complexion, but it still gets much deeper after her, right? So I see that. I see it matches on her, and I'm like, all right, wait a minute. So I pick up 8, and I'm thinking, okay, well, if you're 9, I'm probably going to be 8. Remember, I said like I was somewhere around the model's skin tone. So I swatch 8. I mean, I wish I had taken a picture because it would make all of this a whole lot easier to understand what I'm saying. I swatch 8, I see what it looks like, and I'm like, it's blending, but, and again, I am still kind of like that winter color. We are just getting into spring. It's giving very much so like summer, like late summer. I've been out and about in the sun. That would really be a match for me. So I see that and I'm like, I could still use this shade, but let me see what 7.5 is looking like. I swatched 7.5, and I kid you not, that shade gave very much so like Sierra, the singer. Like that's who I would think maybe that shade is for. Maybe. Now, I don't know much about algebra, but if 1 + 1 = 2, if the model used in the masterclass is 7, and I can use the shade 8, 7.5 being a shade that Sierra Megan Thee Stallion could use, something's not adding up here, right? Like when you look at a shade range, you expect that it's either gonna go from lightest to darkest or darkest to lightest. And you think like the colors are going to either get lighter, like each color is going to get a little bit lighter, or each color is going to get a little bit darker. You don't expect shades to just kind of like jump around because that would be confusing. It's already hard enough for people to match themselves and whatnot. Like imagine you don't have access to like go swatch in store or something like that. So you're just on the website trying to color match yourself. And you're like, people, you don't think of it that way, that this shade might be lighter than this shade, even though it's numbered darker than this shade. So y'all know me, that's how I be getting myself in trouble. Because one thing about it, like, if it doesn't make sense, I'm gonna say something. If I don't like it, I'm gonna say something. If I think you could do better, I'm gonna say something. So I went to one of the Anastasia team members and I was like, hey, like, can I tell you something what I think about the shade range? And she's like, yeah, like, that's why we're here. We would love feedback. I can always bring it back, blah 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 blah. I was like, you might want to like rearrange the numbers because it doesn't make sense. Like I just said to you, 7.5 is lighter than 7. Oh, so I forgot to mention that. I did swatch 7. 7 blended in like beautifully with me. So that is the shade that not only I decided to go with, it's the shade that I have on in this video right now. I already filmed, but I was just like, like that can get confusing for people, and like they've already had some things to say about the foundation, so you might want to consider renumbering the shades just so that it makes more sense for people to pick a shade, stuff like that, blah blah blah. Also, you could definitely use some like filler shades and whatnot, because even with me being 7, so you would say 7, 7.5, 8, 9, right? That would mean that there are 3 shades after my shade that you can pick up in this foundation, but 7 is darker than 7.5. So really that means there's 2 shades after me that you can get in this foundation. I shouldn't be either the second to last, definitely shouldn't be the last shade that it comes in. Like 2 shades after 3, like that shouldn't be the only options that deeper complexions have, because y'all know sometimes the girlies be wanting to tussle with me talking about you're not dark skinned. So if they're saying I am not dark skinned, what options do actual, in their minds, dark skins have? If they're calling me brown and saying that I'm not dark skinned, and there are only 2 shades after me, like, you might want to consider extending it even more, getting some filler shades, stuff like that. She was receptive to what I said. She was like, yeah, we're working on that, and I can't really tell you what's going on with, the numbers seeming to be out of place. I'm not sure about that, but I will go back and let them know, like, this is what you guys are saying about the shade range. And I mean, like, it would make sense if your foundation is having some backlash on the shade range to have an event like this in Atlanta with this type of crowd, and you can get feedback on where you're going wrong with this foundation. And here's the thing, and that's why, like, you don't really pat brands on the back when they come out with like one inclusive range, stuff like that, because a lot of the times the problem, well, we know y'all can do it, that's one, but 2 is that a lot of times it'll be inconsistent, and that's when it gets annoying, because Anastasia Beverly Hills launched this foundation like 2018, 2019, something like that. It's a very good foundation. I would put it in the same lineup as NARS Natural Radiant, the Patrick Ta foundation, the Range Beauty foundation. Like, it's that type of, luminous foundation. Very good. It was a very good foundation, and they had a good shade range with that foundation. So you've done it before. Take the same thing you did then and do it again the next time you come out with a foundation. Like, you can't just get a pat on the back for doing it one time or doing it with foundation, but then your bronzer looks like this, that, and the third. Like, it has to be consistent across the board amongst products. So yeah, I'm always going to give brands that little reminder, like, you could do better, because I know you could do better. Now, I have this here. These are the shades that I just mentioned. So this, hold on. This is 6.5. This is the missing shade here is 7, because like I said, I took it out because I already filmed this. This is 7.5. This is 8, and then this is 9. Hold on a second. That is 7 in the box. So do you see that? Do you see how, actually, here's the thing. I feel like at certain angles, it looks like 7.5 might be darker than 7, but I also feel like at other angles, you can see that like 7 is actually darker than 7.5. Let me see if I rearrange it in the box. So if I switch hold on. Okay, so now it is 6.5, 7.5, 7, 8, 9. Does the gradient like make sense more that way? Yeah. I do have the shades that I'm talking about. The only reason I'm not swatching them so y'all can see what I'm talking about is because I also don't like waste. Of course, I can't use there was what, 5 shades here? I can only, well, I could use 8 if I wanted to. I just don't believe in like keeping a whole bunch of products and whatnot, so I want to give the other ones away. That's the only reason I don't just swatch it. Excuse me. So you can see what I'm talking about. I want to give the other shades away, but you're just gonna have to trust me on that one. That 7.5 is lighter than 7. So if you're looking at it on the website like that, you use me as a shade reference, stuff like that, just know like this is a lighter shade. So really the shades, the options that you have are 7, 8, 9. And 7 is a shade that I have on right now. 8 is a shade that I could probably use like a late summer-ish type thing. So at least I have 2 that I could use, but you know, like everyone should have like 2 at least that they could use, but everyone doesn't. That's the problem. So that was feedback that I gave them on the foundation, and that is just, I guess, some advice I would give to you if you were thinking of picking up that foundation. Keep that in mind when it comes to the colors. Something else that was in the goodie bags is this brow freeze gel, which I have heard a lot about. I do recommend some type of brow gel, something in your brows before you put product in it, just to make your brows last, make the hair stand up all day and whatnot. And what I liked about this one is that, let's see, it's gonna focus, come on. Do you see that? Those little bristles? I like that because you can quite literally brush it up into, brush the product up into your brows and really make them, you know, freeze there on your face and just stand at attention. So I like that about the gel. And then the other new product that I mentioned is their Impeccable Blurring Matte Setting Spray. So I have all of this on today. This is what my face looks like. And that is when I got to this point of the video. This is going to be my face throughout the day, and I will come back later and give you my thoughts on these products. And now that I did all that talking, I guess I'll be quiet and let you watch the footage of me putting this stuff on. Okay, y'all, it is 12:16. Yes, 12:16 in the morning a.m. I fell asleep on my couch. It took everything in me to go ahead and wrap up this video and not just wash it off and call it a night, but it already had the mix up with the sound. Child, I just had to make sure and check right now to make sure there was sound earlier. So push through, wrap up this video, but it is 12:16. I think I left somewhere around 3 in the afternoon. This is my face looks like. I don't know, y'all. This might be one that the oily skin girlies might want to check out this summer. It has held up really well throughout the day. Like I said, I feel like it's mostly like my eyebrow area, maybe my smile line area. Now the concealer that I used was more dewy, hydrating, because I already had a matte foundation on, and this is no Danessa primer. This is no primer. So okay, Anastasia. Okay. And it is the mattifying setting spray on top of that as well. So those 2 products together might be 2 that you guys want to consider this summer. It's giving, if you have oily skin, it's going to keep everything intact, and it looks good on the skin. Now, and see, that be the problem. Y'all be making good products. Y'all be coming out with products that people should happily want to, yeah, go out and get it. And then you got something as silly as not having a good shade range that just kind of overshadows the fact that you made a good product. But if you have a shade and if you have oily skin, this might be something that you want to consider this upcoming spring, summer. If you have dry skin, you can go ahead. I did say they have that natural foundation, luminous, I think something, luminous foundation. Maybe you want to consider that one instead. This is a matte. I was gonna say maybe soft matte. It's somewhere in between like soft matte, matte foundation. It's not matte like a KVD beauty type foundation, but it's a little bit more than soft matte. Or maybe that's just the foundation and the setting spray together. But yeah, dry skin, go ahead, sit this one out. But oily skin, this one might be for the girls. So yeah, y'all, that is it for this video. I'm gonna go ahead and go to sleep. TT is tired. Okay, if you guys were wondering what my thoughts were on these products, there it is. Let me know what you think down below about the shade range, and if this is a foundation that you were thinking of checking out. Y'all know the Sephora sale is coming up. Make sure to thumbs up, comment, subscribe, turn notification bells down below. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.